started our sound. And Rage Against the Machine was a huge influence too because they're live shows and they're like dynamics. Like, you know, we borrowed off a lot of influences, and so but when we started, it morphed into our own unique thing, and so in that first record, I mean, here's the bungle chord again, our song Divine. And so, Jonathan adds his vocals and just weird style of singing, and you go, doesn't sound like bungle at all, right? It sounds like just something new. And so, great record. And then we always liked things that sounded out of tune and just weird, like that Chutes and Ladders, Beautiful, beautiful bagpipe thing comes in. It's like, it's got reverb and delay on it. And I remember we're in Malibu at, what was it called? Indigo Ranch Recording Studio. And Jonathan walked down this driveway, or up this driveway, and he put the mics outside, Ross did. And so you can hear the birds chirping and everything. That's in Malibu Hills up there. Wow. And he's walking down the driveway with his bagpipes. You can hear it getting closer and closer. And then that just, simple, but just kind of groovy and hooky. And then this, to me, it's like a sound garden. He's, just bent, but it's a kind of a unique bend. It just, I don't know, it sounds trippy that, we called it the bumblebee, because if you got two guitar players doing it, it's like, it's just like dreamy, So simple, right? But it was just like, the weird thing. It sounded weird, and so we were like, bam. And then, so we hit that. I love the chord. We did the mute, and then that, like, one stroke of the bumblebee with the mute, like. Wow, this action is really high. This is not my guitar. Do it on this pickup. So that was that record, and we got the sound out there. Radio was like, we ain't playing this. What is this? It was like Dave, he said either this is gonna bomb or it's gonna be huge. Like, you can't go in the middle there. But our live show is what, heavily influenced by Rage Against the Machine's live show, especially Zach, how he's just flipping his dreads around and just going for it. And we were like, what if the whole band just went nuts? Instead, because the other guys in Rage, they grooved too, but it was more like and we kind of were like, what if, we didn't sit down and say, let's just have different characters, and we'll all look like different, it just happened, because we liked style, we loved the hip hop, we loved the industrial, Jonathan grew up in like the goth scene, and he wore skirts and stuff and makeup to school, and all kinds of weird stuff. So we had a balance of that thing, that goth weird thing, like he was wearing skirts, at the clubs that we were at before we got signed, and then Fieldy, he was all into hip hop, the LA gangster scene and all that, and so Cypress Hill, and then we were, but Fieldy also loved Pantera, so it was a thing where there's a lot of influences, man, and so. That it just worked, so we toured that record, came back and did Life is Peachy really fast, like 2 months. Written, recorded, done, out back on the road. And we started touring with bands like Deftones, and so we got a little bit more, I think we were going a little bit more catchy on that record, but it was still just weird, like that song Adidas, here's the guitar. This is not tuned right. Simple, but it had like a kind of a a hook thing to it, and then the chorus was Monkey wrote this. It's really, it's nice. Got a nice melody, kind of simple and everything, but just the bass, dude. The bass was Fieldy's bass tone that they got early on was just so deep and rich and just slapping. And so on that bridge part, and then just simple that riff. It was all about the feel of the band, It wasn't really technical, but it was like what makes you move, what makes you feel something, And so the drums, the bass, the guitar, and the vocals, everything, it just kind of combined to something good. So that was that record. Moving along. We grew, we started getting played on MTV a little bit, we got not heavy rotation, like just kind of mediocre rotation on MTV. I remember my dad he would get up in the mornings and he got a treadmill and everything, and he turned on MTV, just going through the channels while he was on the treadmill, and he saw me like getting zipped up in a body bag in that video, and he's like, I don't like that video. We painted dead with the makeup and all that, and so that was kind of cool to see the growth. And we toured with bands like Deftones and did theater runs, and then we got bigger tours. It was an honor on our first tour, our first record to open for Megadeth. Yeah, man, it's like great. You were there too? Yeah. I mean, I used to love watch Megadeth on MTV every day, and just a cool, unique sound that they had, and
first time seeing
and so
really,
95, dude, crazy, 25 years old. That
awesome.
But and then the Ozzy tour and everything. We didn't know what to think, because dude, Ozzy was my jam when I was little, and so just to see him like every day back. We didn't really hang out with him because he was just kept to himself a lot, but we did a little bit, and I remember him and Sharon brought us a bottle of champagne when our record went gold on that tour, and so.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he told us, he was just like, I just want to congratulate you. You're always going to go in. And then Sharon's like, interpreted for him, She looked at him and she says, we think you guys are going to go very far in this industry, so get ready, you're going to have a great career. And she kind of spoke it out, and so that was really cool. It was surreal, actually, because I had followed Ozzy like his whole career, and I'm just blown away to be able to be on a panel with the guys tomorrow for the great producers that done Blizzard of Oz, Diary of Man, and Toby Wright, who did Follow the Leader with us, which I will get into now. That album, we just we were just friends. We grew up together, like I said earlier, and we got into a room and wrote music, and that was it, and just whatever came out. And so I think it had something to do with destiny and everything, and so that's what we did with Follow the Leader. And the song Got the Life had that disco beat. We were scared of that. We were like, because we're known for being heavy and whatnot, and Adidas was a little bit more of like had a lot more melody and everything, but it still had that heaviness. And so when David came out with that disco beat, Monkey came up with the riff. Dude, we can't do disco. We were Korn, and we were all scared, And then Jonathan came up with the verse though. Hey, something, sometime, some way, something, kick out the flow for me. He's got screaming it kind of, and we're like, okay, that can kind of work because he's like heavy voice, And so when he came up with the chorus to the lyrics, like I remember it just hit. Like Monkey actually said it first. It was like, whatever. I can't sing and play. But it was God paged me. They had the pagers back then. When we play it live, we should be like, God text to me. The times have changed. But it was just, so that song, it was weird. The weird thing came into factor, but it was kind of like, disco-y, but with like screaming, but with a cool chorus, a hooky chorus. And so when that came out of the box, man, MTV was like, that song is awesome. Radio was like, okay, now we can play Korn. And but it was still Korn, right? It was on the edge of like, okay, more people could get it, but it wasn't like selling out. It was like we were us, but it was a little bit more towards, okay, this is a little bit more acceptable, so maybe we'll start playing them. So heavy rotation MTV. They actually made a rule for TRL, that countdown show, because of that video, because the fans wouldn't stop voting for it. We had a second single, and it was still like getting numbered top 3 or whatever. So they came up with a rule: if you're on the countdown for this long, you have to retire the video. So we were the first retiree for Got the Life, and then of course, Freak on a Leash. Yeah, that song was amazing. We wrote that too. You know what I liked about that record is
It's awesome.
I didn't know you were there. Yeah. But we were like our best friends then. We just no management, anybody. We went into the studio and we just hung out for 8 hours a day, just wrote, laughed, and all 5 of us. Not 4, not 3. Jonathan was there the whole time, and we just had fun, man. We wrote all these songs together, And, Monkey's that... What's Monkey's part? I gotta learn it. Sorry, I didn't have a sound check. Monkey's Party. There it is. That haunting, like scary thing,
Something takes a part of me.
Hey, look at him.
Yeah.
But, and it's kind of a major. This sounds like a horror movie. Something takes a part, and his vocals major, so it kind of like it was. I loved how Jonathan did that. He had the major feel when we sounded scary, and it just kind of mixed together. It sounded even more creepy because his pretty melody lines over a creepy. Music was it just kind of worked, And so then after those verses came in, whatever, and then the pre-chorus was just nice melody and everything. Really hooky and everything, but then we get all weird again. That bungle influence always comes back, man. The bridge. Jonathan was into all that, like he got it from hip hop. Like, remember the early hip hop? They did that, like the reggae feel, whatever. Yeah. He took that, and I don't know what it was like early in the day. He wasn't on meth, he wasn't on drinking or nothing. He just did this. I'm gonna go back to the record before that, Life is Peachy. He just came in one day and goes, and we're like, what the hell was that? Ross Robinson was like, dude, what was that? He's like, I don't know. I used to love that reggae thing, but you put some more rasp on it. We're like, dude, do that again. And then, so we caught the groove of it, and we just, weirdest chord, We wrote a riff with that chord. What the hell is that? We started the damn record with that. And it's like, whoa. Okay. So isn't that cool though? Because we could have something that abstract and out there, and then Adidas, where it's like pretty. So it was a balance. It was a balance of like cool melody and just out there. And so all that to say, what was I going to say? I went back to that record. Oh yeah,
you're talking about the reggae thing.
But Freak on a Leash. He brought that back.
Yeah.
We're just like, dude, you're just so weird and awesome. And then, it's just so out there, and it's like, go! just like, dude, I got the best singer ever, right? I was so proud to be in a band with him, and the riffs, just our backing of his like intensity was just so cool, and so I'm so proud of that record, man. And
we're going to talk about that record a lot tomorrow with Toby Wright,
yeah,
the PBX Expo, one of the gentlemen who produced that record. So I think that's all the time we have. You got one more thing? Okay, good.
I got to use the whammy, man.
Oh,
You
yeah,
set
you
it
do.
up and everything.
Yeah, you
so
do.
this is 20 minutes right now, so give me 2 more.
Perfect.
Okay, so. If we weren't low enough already, we started the Here to Stay record. By that time, you guys, the record industry was just had so much money, and we were so big that we basically spent like $2 or $3 million on this record. We got houses in Phoenix. One had a stripper pole put in it. One had all of our gear. We wrote these songs in a basement, and it was like I was trying to get sober because my wife had left me, and she got hooked on crystal meth. Had these skinheads moving to our house. I almost committed murder by hiring someone to offer. I mean, it was bad, and so I got sober and everything. And meanwhile, we wrote this song. It was another weird drum beat, but Philly, I think, came up with the riff, like he was on his bass just going. Just had a nice hook to it, you know? And we just hit it, you know, and we found these whammy pedals, Digitech whammy pedals, which if we weren't low enough already, it brings an octave down. And so, well, almost knocked a tooth out. But, and then it's got the killer low sound. Michael Beinhorn was the producer, he got it, so I just wanted to highlight that riff before I go. You know what I mean? Just really heavy and just head bobbing.
Yeah.
Just you feel it, you know, really simple, but you feel it. And so that record just brought us to another level, and you know, I think I'll just stop there because they only give me 20 minutes, but I mean, just, it's really, we're really blessed, and we were really creative, and I'm proud of my brothers of what we created, and, you know, who would have thought 25 years later we're still going, and you know, Jonathan had a rough year, but we're coming out strong tomorrow. His music and his fans are healing, you know, and so we appreciate all you guys that come out to the show and everything, and just, you know, think about us, you know, because it's been a really hard year, and so we can't wait to see you guys get back out on the road, you know, and rock and roll just keeps us all, you know, young and really just driving, you know, it makes us feel better, right? Rock and roll is so good, so yeah, it's gonna. People say what they want about rock and roll, but it's gonna come back, and it's doing fine to me anyway. Already, so yeah.
Give it up for Brian and Welch, everybody.